Okay, hello everybody. I just performed a 2-inch lift on this 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4x. I have it in the garage right now. And I wanted to show, because after you do a lift on a Pro-4x, in order to not have the upper control arm right there, this is a OEM upper control arm, not rub up against the strut housing here. You have to either cut the housing off or replace the upper control arm. And I've decided to replace the upper control arm like some others have done. And I'm going to show you a couple things here that I've experienced. I've already taken off the wheel. I've already undone the bolts here. You can see. So this comes off, just a bolt there, one bolt there, and then you take off the other two bolts. There's these two bolts with 19 millimeter size nuts and bolt on either side here. What I've also done is loosen the wheel well, taking out the clasps, these, and some of the Phillips screwdriver screws, because we're going to need some more space in there. So anyways, so pulling out the old one, and what I found the other day after pulling out the OEM one, and I purchased a SPC Performance upper control arms, and there's the part number. And these allow for the adjustment up in here for the alignment. They come the bushings come pre-pressed in, and that. And what I found the other day is that when I put that in there, that the bolts did not line up for this one fit in. The housing went in here, but the bolts through it would not line up. It was a millimeter off. So you can see the two holes right there. So what the instructions said to do, that I didn't read initially, is that on number 4, note 2, that models above 2015 are known to have an issue with reduced factory clearance in the driver's side front, so the holes on this bracket may need to be slotted outward, similar to accomplish the SPC control arm. So it says to get this part 74920, which is this. This is the 74920 SPC, and it's quite expensive. It's over $200. But what we're gonna have to do is put that in the hole, and it's going to carve out, it's going to cut the hole actually wider so that the bolt can fit in there. So that's what we're going to do, and I will show you as I take the steps. Okay, I took out the wheel well cover because I want to have maximum workability in here, and I'm actually going to reverse this bolt. Okay, as you can see, I took out the plastic wheel well cover, So it's sitting over here. This gives me more room to cut this and to see everything that I need to see. So I've placed the punch kit, the slot punch kit on. I wish I could have the bolt on the outside, but the nut or the bolt is so long that I can't insert it from inside. So it has to be inserted this way, and this is the one that comes off and on. So it has to be from the outside, so it's gonna be hard to get a ratchet on this. I'm not gonna be able to do that. This is a 19 millimeter bolt right there. So I'm gonna turn that and cut the hole a little wider. Okay, so I have the slot cutter in place, and you can see that it's lined up. I'm cutting on the inside, the inner, because that's where I had the problem fitting the bolt. The bolt went all the way through, but it was just a millimeter off on this end. It wouldn't go through. So I'll have to put my phone down as I turn this. I don't want to make a mistake. Okay, I've got it set, and now I'm turning the wrench on this, and you should be able to see it cut in. Let me see if I can get this out of the way. What am I pointing to? Right here. It says do not use a socket or an impact on this. You must do it by hand. Otherwise you could end up messing it up. So it's a slow process. I'm going to turn this off while I finish cutting it. Okay, I don't know if you can see that or not, but the slot cutter is going through. It's just taking a slow turns. It's getting easier now. Way easy. Oh, it's cut through. Okay. See how that's cut through? Well, I can't pull it through, so I have to unscrew it. Okay, so I took the slot cutter off, and this is what it cut off from the hole. So now this hole is elongated, and I don't think I need to do the other side, so I'm gonna put the upper control arm in there and see if I can feed the bolt through. All right, I'm gonna install the upper control arm. I'm gonna put the bolt in from the back side here. Okay, screwing this bolt on a little bit here. Now I need to start the bolt on this side. Okay, just an update that I got the bolt in there. I did not have to cut the front. I just had to cut the rear housing to elongate the bolt. The deal with the front is even if you needed to cut the front where this bolt is, there's not enough room actually on the side there to actually elongate that hole. So it took some wiggling and using multiple tools. I think I ended up using this hex where after I put the bolts in from the rear, it wouldn't go in the front, and I had to use this hex to put it in here and wiggle it around while lifting this up and down and trying to get it in the right place. Probably took me, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes to get that bolt all the way through. But it's in there, the nut's on there, and I'm not ever taking that thing off unless I have to. So this is a pretty strong upper control arm by SBC. And so let me put everything back together and show you what it looks like. And because now I have to put this piece on over here and connect it in. And it's got some adjustments for the alignment. I've got an appointment tomorrow at the Nissan dealership to take it in for alignment. So got to finish this today, so I wasn't quitting. Anyways, more to come in a few minutes. Okay, I put this on the end of the upper control arm, and as you can see that this actually has an adjustment here. I'm not going to know exactly where this goes. Put it somewhere in the middle, because tomorrow, like I said earlier, I've got an appointment for a Nissan dealership to do the alignment, and they'll figure it out. And you also have to grease this once it's all on. So, okay, I want to show that all the bolts are tightened. And greased. That one's tightened. And I just want to review, this was a rough country 2-inch lift. So this plate went up in here. I had to lower the strut down and had to actually disconnect the front sway bar, and then had to take the bolt out of the strut, bottom of the strut. I had to disconnect this, drop the whole front axle, and then pull the strut out. Had to put the spacer, the 2-inch spacer, on top. It actually bolts into the strut bolts, and then the spacer has its own bolts. So that was the lift in the front. And in the rear there was shackles, shackle extensions from rough country as well. But the upper control arm from SPC is complete, and I have an appointment tomorrow at the Nissan dealership to do the alignment. So right now it's probably not aligned whatsoever. I'm going to go to the passenger side. And the passenger side is, we're not supposed to have to cut the bolt housing, so we'll see. Okay, so I'm on the passenger side, and I've already undone this bolt right here. That's a pretty easy bolt. That's a 19mm bolt to take off after taking the pattern. But what you have to do is I need this 5-pound hammer, and then you need to hit this support arm for it to release. And got to hit it a couple times, about 2-3 times, and then all of a sudden it just drops from there. Don't need to take off any of the sway bars. So just undo that bolt, take the pin out. I've taken this nut off right over here. It looks like I'm not gonna have to take this wheel well protector off on this side. Hopefully I do not have to cut any of the housing because the instruction says it's only on the driver's side. So we'll see. I'll be taking this off, and I'll catch you back when I put the new arm in and see how it fits. Okay, I got the OEM upper control arm off. This is going to be the new upper control arm. And when you put them in, whatever on the top, right, so it's passenger side, right side, has to be on top. You can see on the other side there's an L, so you wouldn't put it on this way because L is left side, driver's side. So what we did on the driver's side is we put it on this way. L was on top. So on the passenger side, right's on the front. So most of the extended arm is in the front to clear this strut housing. So it's just FYI, don't put it on backwards. So here's the housings right here. That's the back housing. That's the front housing. What we don't have on this side is we don't have the steering arm coming down in the middle. So the bolts were fairly easy to come off. I didn't have to take the wheel well off at all. So I'm hoping this is going to go on easier. What I'm going to do is take some grease and kind of, you can't probably see this, but I'm going to grease the inside of these housings here. Put the grease on them. It doesn't hurt, and hopefully it helps the control arm to get in there easier and move around, for me to move it around. I did this to the other side too, so that it helps to slide around while I'm trying to put the bolts in there. Okay, so I'm going to try and slip this in there right now and see how the bolts fit, and hopefully I don't have to cut this side. Okay, good news is that both bolts, I put this one in first, the rear one, and then the front one. So they both fit through the current holes, so we do not have to cut anything on this side. So that's the good news. So I'll now be putting on the nuts and then connecting this back together. Okay, so the fender well is back in, and this is a difficult fender well to put in. See, I had a 2006 Frontier, and it wasn't as difficult. I'm going to try and never have to remove this fender well again. So hopefully, so that's in, and now I just have to put the wheel back on and take it to the dealership tomorrow to get an alignment, and it's all done. So basically the key is on the driver's side. You have to, for this bolt to go through on this front housing of the upper control arm, you have to, for this hole right here, you have to cut it longer for this bolt to go through here, because this is such a big ball. It's bigger than the OEM, so, and it's basically pushing right up against that back housing back in here, so there's no way for it to move backwards. That's why you have to cut the hole a little bit forward for this bolt to go all the way through. Otherwise, it's a millimeter off and you'll never get the bolt through there. And even if you hammer it through, you'll strip the threads and not be able to put the bolt, not be able to put the nut on properly. So this upper control arm is pretty strong, and it is strong steel, so this is going to protect the front of this truck. And I go off-roading, more or less pulling my razor. Let's see, I'm going to let this down and take one final shot.